Today's notes are a small extension of what we did yesterday. Yesterday we looked at how to graph a function on the graphing calculator. Most kids in the class assured me that they knew how to find the maximum and minimum using the calculator. We'll be using that skill today. I think everyone could get a picture like this, and then we'll talk about what the function is increasing and decreasing. But honestly, before we could even really answer questions B and C, we really need to know where those maxes and mins are, because that's going to help us figure out how to describe where the function is increasing or decreasing. So when I kick this problem off, the first thing I would do is enter this function into my calculator. I would have adjusted the window so that the x minimum was -1 and the x max was 2. I would suggest using zoom fit, and you should get a picture that looks something like this on your screen. If not, check to make sure that you're in radian mode. Check to make sure that you graph sine of x squared and not sine squared x. And the graph will look something like this. I also went ahead and figured out where this low point was and where this high point was using the calcmin and calcmax feature. I will say too, for the minimum graph, I did adjust the window that I got from the original doing the zoom fit, just so that stuff was getting in the way. So I made the y value a little bit lower so I could actually do the calculation to find the red point. At any rate, everyone should be able to get this graph, and everyone should be able to find that the red point is probably about here and the green point is here. And now we're going to talk about where the function is increasing and decreasing. And this is not a trick question, right? Everyone can look at a graph and tell where it's increasing and where it's decreasing, but sometimes students do struggle with how to answer that. Anytime you answer a question about where a function is increasing or decreasing, here's a couple things. It's true that you'll be looking at the y values, and if the y values are getting bigger, it's increasing. And if the y values are getting smaller, it's decreasing. But when you answer the question, you talk about the x values that make the y values go up, or the x values that make the y values go down. So that's why I need to know where these points are. I can see, and I'm sure you can too, that this function increases from here to here in this portion, and the function increases from this red point up to this purple point. So when I describe those, I'm not going to actually include any endpoints at all. We're looking at this function on this specific interval. Right off the bat, this function is increasing. So I'd say it's increasing from x is -1 up to x is whatever the x value of this green point is. So that would be -0.869 if my daughter's calculator works as well as it's supposed to. It should work as well. And then there's some decreasing, but the function increases again from this red point to this purple point. So that's the x value of 0.334, up to the point that I care about, which is 2. Now I'll go on to where the function is decreasing. The function is decreasing in this part. So that's while x is this x value to this x value. So it decreases from -0.869 up to this x value of 0.334. And that's all there is to that. You know, we're literally just looking to see where the function goes up or down, but we mentioned these x values. These look like ordered pairs, but of course this is interval notation saying as x goes from -1 to this value, we increase. As x goes from 0.334 to this value, we increase. So on and so forth. Can you guys find an absolute max and an absolute min? So absolute max, right? Not the local max. So the absolute highest value on this closed interval, the extreme value theorem, which you'll see me refer to as EVT throughout the year, says that on a closed interval, a continuous function will definitely have an extreme value. And you can see that the highest point's over here. Now, to find that, that's an endpoint. So I'm going to have to find out what f of 2 is. So I plug that in the calculator. I plug 2 into my original function. Actually, what I did was I pressed alpha trace, and I got that y sub 1 thing to show up on the home screen. And I chose y sub 1, and I put it into 2. And this is what popped out. But if you don't know what I'm talking about and you try and it doesn't work, then just go ahead and plug 2 into this function. You should get the same value. This is the absolute maximum. And I might say absolute maximum of 0.243 when x is 2. And the absolute minimum, this does look like the lowest point. So the absolute minimum is going to be -5.185 when x equals 0.334. Hope that all makes sense to you guys. Good luck.